Do stay with us, but straight to our top story. Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential candidate Raila Odinga and his running mate Martha Karua have petitioned the Supreme Court disputing the declaration of William Ruto as the president-elect. Raila cites massive irregularities and illegalities in the whole electoral process and now wants the results declared null and void. He is also demanding a retallying of the votes or a fresh presidential election to be conducted. That report opens our coverage tonight.
In a 70-page petition, the Azimio la Umoja presidential candidate Raila Odinga and his running mate Martha Karua want the highest court in the land to declare the 2022 presidential election results announced on the 15th of August null and void. To correct the alleged massive electoral illegalities, they demanded a retallying of votes or a fresh election be conducted. The petitioner cited violation of the electoral system and process and lack of neutrality, efficiency and accuracy in the process.
We have a lot of issues from 34Bs, 34As, 34C, all that documentation.
Raila and Martha say results were declared before results from 27 constituencies had been verified and tallied. The 27 constituencies include Mvita, Matuga, Kilifi North, Bura, Fafi, Wajir North, Aldis, Mandera West, Ganya East, Ndaragwa, Kapenguria, Kacheliba, Narok North, Narok South, Narok West, Kajiado East, Kandunyi, Nyakach, Rangwe, Ndhiwa, Suba North, Kuria East, Bomachoge, Bomarabu, Kitutu, Chache North, and West Mugirango. The petitioners also have a witness who claims to have evidence of alleged hacking of the IEBC system by the Kenya Kwanza camp to intercept and manipulate Forms 34A transmitted from the Kim's kit and thereafter transmitted the altered forms to the IEBC public portal. The cited cases in Bomet and Kiambu where Forms 34A issued to their agents at the polling stations and electronically transmitted through the Kim's kit to the National Tallying Center vary from those displayed in the IEBC portal. The hackers reportedly stole several votes from Raila Odinga and exaggerated those from William Ruto, allegedly in cahoots with IEBC and its chair Wafula Chebukati, who they also accuse of making false entries. IEBC is also accused of fraudulently ordering the ballot paper printing firm Inform Lycos Helles AC to print a parallel sheet of Form 34A result declaration forms and declined to make an order for the requisite Forms 34B when printing other election material. Evidence obtained from the forensic communication analysis of the electronic devices retrieved from the three Venezuelans allegedly cited variance in the voter turnout, among others. Raila and Martha further took issues with Chebukati's leadership skills, citing his fallout with previous commissioners such as Roslyn Akombe, former CEO Ezra Chiloba, and now the four commissioners. They also cited lack of accuracy in the voter turnout data, with the IEBC stating a day after the election that the total voter turnout was 65.4 equivalent to 14,466,779, according to the Kim's kit, only for the final results of the presidential election to indicate a shortfall of almost 2 million votes.
Na hata baada ya siku tatu mfululizo ile margin ambayo walijaribu ilikuwa ni ndogo sana. Na tukirudisha hiyo mambo yote ambayo imefanyika nyuma, itaonyesha wazi William Ruto alikuwa na kura ndogo sana, kura chache sana.
Raila and Martha further termed the postponement of the gubernatorial elections as a ploy to reduce voter turnout for their strongholds. They also claim that a forensic analysis of the presidential election cited fraud that denied Raila victory over Ruto. They now want the IEBC to veil all material, including electronic documents, devices and equipment for the presidential election petition within 48 hours. Well, the ball has been set rolling after the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya having filed the petition, and now they have up to 24 hours to get to serve their respondents, with the respondents having up to 4 days to get to respond to the petition, and the petitioners have up to 1 day to get to file any interlocutory application, and thereafter any amicus curiae seeking to be enjoined has 1 day from today to get to file their application. Serafina Robi for Prime Edition.
1 day from today, that's the time frame they have to file a petition. As friends of the court, is Azimio walking a tightrope with a clear middle point? We have in studio a little later on Ochiel Dudley, an advocate of the High Court, to give us deeper insights on what that means, and also Archbishop Anthony Muheria of the Nyeri Diocese. We will be talking more about those issues. Moving on, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance presidential candidate Raila Odinga has described the presidential election petition before the Supreme Court as a do-or-die battle for what he termed as corrupt cartels, who he claims are prepared to compromise electoral systems so as to ascend to power. Raila, who exuded confidence that the Supreme Court will rule in their favor, has, however, cautioned the international community against meddling in Kenyan affairs. Ben Chumba puts that story into perspective.
Shortly after filing the presidential election petition at the Supreme Court, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance top leadership, led by presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga, addressed the media at the Kenyatta International Convention Center.
Tuna hakika ya kwamba tuko na ushahidi wa kutosha ya kuonyesha kwamba sisi ndio tulishinda uchaguzi huu. Imedhihirika wazi baada ya sisi kufanya uchunguzi na wale wengine ambaye walishiriki katika hiyo ulaghai kujitokeza kama Wakenya kusema maovu imefanyika hapa. Sisi wenyewe tuliitwa, tulipa pesa, lakini tuko tayari kutoa ushahidi, na shahidi yuko hapa.
Raila, who has lined up a seasoned team of lawyers to challenge the 2022 presidential results, said the legal showdown expected at the Apex Court will expose corruption cartels.
This is a do-or-die battle for the corruption cartels who have everything to lose should the forces of democracy take over. The corruption cartels are prepared to compromise electoral systems, bribe electoral officials, make security systems look other way, or even kill in order to find their way to power and their ill-gotten wealth and continue stealing from the public. We believe this is what happened in this election. For the sake of Kenya's future, the corruption network must not only be stopped, it must also be crushed.
But even as the world leaders continue to congratulate President-elect William Ruto, who was declared winner of the August 9, 2022 presidential election, Raila has cautioned the international community against interference.
Hata marafiki wetu kutoka ng'ambo ambayo wako hapa, tungependa kuwasihi wawe na subira, wasijiingize katika mambo ya siasa ya kindani ya Kenya. Wache Wakenya masuluhishe mambo yao kama Wakenya, na sisi tunaweza kusuluhisha mambo yetu.
The Azimio la Umoja presidential candidate also called on his supporters to stay calm as his alliance seeks the ear of the Supreme Court on the 2022 Kenya election results. Ben Chumba, Prime Edition.
Now, the normally silent corridors of justice today witnessed a spectacle reminiscent of the 2017 presidential petition, with a truck load of dozens of cartons delivering Azimio la Umoja's evidence to support their bid to nullify the declaration of William Ruto as president-elect. Whereas the deadline this time round wasn't midnight, but during the day, it was still the same rush to present a watertight case, and with bevy of legal minds tagging along. Here's that report.
The seriousness of the matter at hand did not deny Azimio coalition supporters some light moments through song and dance, perhaps in anticipation of a victory. They braved the scorching sun for hours outside Milimani Law Courts to witness the momentous occasion. That moment, however, eluded this unlucky supporter as she fainted when her body could not bear it anymore. A Nairobi County ambulance rushed her to hospital. Security in and out of the court was super tight, only second to that of Bomas of Kenya during the tallying of the presidential results. And when Baba arrived at the courts, hand in hand with other Azimio leaders, ululations rent the air, bringing businesses in the nearby offices to a standstill. As they made a grand entry to the venue, a truck was ferrying a mountain of cartons as evidence to support their demand for nullification of the presidential election results. After a few hours with the judiciary clerks, they were all smiles upon acceptance of their petition and in good time.
For the media, we only allowed you to take what was going on during lodging. You are free now to continue your business from the first section.
After that process, their exit evoked a more rousing reception from the supporters. Azimio leader Raila Odinga and his counterparts shook hands with their eager fans, exuding confidence of victory in their petition. And after all the pomp and color that characterized the filing of the presidential petition right here at the Milimani Law Courts, the usually quiet and calm Milimani Law Courts is slowly but surely resuming its normalcy. And now it's upon the eloquent lawyers and the brilliant mind of the 7 judges of the Apex Court to sit right here and make a determination on the presidential petition. For Prime Edition from the Milimani Law Courts, I'm Ben Troy Njue.
Thanks, Ben. And 2 more petitions have also been successfully filed at the Supreme Court, challenging the declaration of William Ruto as the winner of the presidential election on the 9th of August 2022. One petition has been filed by John Njoroge Kamau, with the other submitted by 4 activists, namely Caleb Khalifa, George Osewe, Ruth Mubi, and Grace Kamau, both parties basing their petitions on different grounds. Both petitioners have listed the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, the IEBC chairperson, Kenya Kwanza presidential candidate William Ruto as respondents.
A few hours to the deadline for submissions of petitions rejecting the August 9th presidential results, John Njoroge Kamau, a Kenyan registered voter, made his way to the Supreme Court, now sitting at the Milimani High Court, to file a petition challenging the victory of William Ruto as president-elect. In his petition, Kamau is seeking the court to declare that the constitutional mandate for tallying and verifying election results received from the polling stations by the National Tallying Centre has to be undertaken by all IEBC commissioners and not by the chairperson alone. Declare that the recent presidential election was not conducted in accordance with the Constitution, hence rendering the results invalid, null and void. A declaration that Kenya Kwanza presidential candidate William Ruto and his running mate Rigathi Gachagua were not validly declared as winners. Kamau is also seeking an order directing the IEBC to organize and conduct a fresh presidential election. He is also seeking a declaration that Chebukati committed election irregularities and should be investigated for possible criminal culpability. Kamau's petition came shortly before activists Caleb Khalifa, George Osewe, Ruth Mumbi, and Grace Kamau also submitted a physical copy of yet another petition, also disputing the presidential results with similar grounds, save for a declaration that a forensic audit of the electoral technology deployed in the election be conducted. They also want the commission to avail all the material, including electronic documents, devices, and equipment, within 48 hours upon filing of the petition.
IEBC is a body corporate established with commissioners determined by law to be 7. If the commission as a body corporate has been unable to confirm, verify and tally the results of an election, can an individual member of that commission come up and say, these are my results? Those are some of the questions that we want the Supreme Court of Kenya to answer. You will note that in the KPMG report of 2017 and 2022, they actually did confirm that they were what you are calling unauthorized users who had access to IEBC, and their condemnation was that that system was vulnerable and had been compromised. Can we then, as a country, rely on a process to give us a winner of an election that an independent audit has demonstrated was compromised in the conduct of the elections?
The two petitioners are expected to serve the respondents within 24 hours upon filing. Kamche Menza for Prime Edition.
Now, the Mombasa and Kakamega gubernatorial elections, twice postponed, will now be held on Monday, the 29th of August. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission also set the same date for the member of the National Assembly elections in Kacheliba, Pokot South, and also in Rongai constituencies, as well as 2 wards. And as Gishuki Washira reports, the candidates have been given 4 days to campaign.
The postponement of gubernatorial elections in Mombasa and Kakamega counties, as well as in 4 constituencies and 2 wards, saw aggrieved contestants resort to legal measures to compel the electoral body to rescind its decision. The acrimony prompted the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to meet the affected candidates to agree on a date for conducting the polls. The meeting settling for Monday next week and allowed a 4-day campaign period.
We have also allowed the candidates to do campaigns for the next 4 days and stopped for 48 hours before the election date on Monday 29th.
The affected areas include Mombasa and Kakamega governor elections, MP races in Kitui Rural, Kacheliba, Pokot South and Rongai constituencies. Voting for member of County Assembly Ward in Nyaki West Ward in Meru County and Kwajenga Ward in Nairobi County will also be held on Monday.
So generally the issues that are affecting all the candidates have been discussed and resolved. Ours is just to ask the candidates to campaign peacefully and for Kenyans in those areas to turn up in large numbers and vote for the candidates of their choice.
The decision appeased the candidates.
Maybe mine is to encourage our candidates and the entire country that we shall do a very peaceful election, the one we have already done before.
Kwa vile wametupa date ya karibu, sisi ni shukrani kwao, maana sisi tuko tayari kwa uchaguzi, tumejipanga na nilikuwa tu hiyo siku kufika. Tutaitumia hizo siku 4 ambazo wametupa za campaign in the most effective way.
The IEBC is now reaching out to the Ministry of Education to avail the schools in those areas to be used as polling stations. Yeshoki Washira, Prime Edition.
Roots Party presidential running mate Justina Wamaya is facing disciplinary action from her party on accusations of breaching party structures in making utterances that affect the party's reputation. Roots Party has summoned her for disciplinary action over commentaries she allegedly made about the just concluded elections, both in the mainstream as well as the social media.
In a letter written by the Roots Party's legal director Washika Washira and dated August 22nd, 2022, Justina Wamai is accused of breaching party structures in making commentaries that affect the party's reputation. According to the letter, Wamai is accused of making media utterances that are against the spirit and stand of Roots Party of Kenya. According to the letter, Wamai has continuously and maliciously misrepresented the position of the party and that of the party leader, having blocked him and other party officials. The Roots Party presidential running mate, Wamai, has further been faulted for associating herself with the party's opponents, contrary to the party laws. The letter states that due to her sentiments, the party has suffered public ridicule and disrepute. Wamai has been ordered to appear before the disciplinary committee on August 26, 2022 at the party's headquarters. Beatrice Getonyang-Etich, Prime Edition.
On to a disturbing story. Police in Kisumu are holding a 27-year-old man suspected to have killed his mother under unclear circumstances. Jeff Onyango Nyawanda is alleged to have killed his mother, Roslyn Nyawanda, who is the deputy principal at Migingo Girls High School, that's in Kisumu, with a kitchen knife before setting the body ablaze. With Cliff Okech with more details on this unfortunate incident.
Girls High School in Kisumu County has been thrown into mourning after their deputy principal, Roslyn Nyawanda, was allegedly killed by her own son. 27-year-old Jeff Onyango Nyawanda is reported to have committed the heinous act on the night of last Saturday, where he allegedly used a kitchen knife to kill his mother before torching her body.
We had an incident which was discovered yesterday. What was discovered was that we found that our deputy principal, who was called Madam Roslyn Nyawanda, was found dead in her house. And the body was burnt.
Roslyn's body will later be discovered by her other son on Sunday evening.
Of course, we promptly informed the police, who came to the site, and the investigations has been handed over to the police. It was an elder brother to this son who came in the evening and discovered about the death.
Kadibo Sub-County Commissioner Angeline Were says that the suspect is currently being held by the police to assist with investigations into what might have led to the unfortunate turn of events.
So I would just like us to remain calm. The police will do their work and give us a final report. But for now, the son who was in the house with the deputy principal is just being held as the prime suspect.
For Prime Edition from Kisumu County, I am Wycliffe Okech.
Well, that sad story brings us to our first break right here on Prime Edition. Later on, remember, Archbishop Anthony Muheria, Nyeri Diocese, is on set, as well as Ochiel Dudley, an advocate of the High Court. The Supreme Petition is in, you remember, so we want to know what that means. And we encourage you to stay with us. We'll be back after this short break.
Lazima itafanya taka ujue babangu, hii dunia haifanyii kila mtu sawa.
Tuseme ni relationship yenu, yani let's say it was not that friendly.
Jackie, nimpeleke wapi? Nimpeleke wapi?
Nimepata appointment rasmi na Mr. Dingo.
Ma! She just doesn't want me to leave the house. She just wants me to stay at home.
Nuria, I can't do anything. It was already a big risk that they took those x-rays while you're pregnant. Radiation might have affected your baby.
No, I never want to see him again!
Terribly sorry, but you see, it's a great risk for me to have you as a witness. Madam, your husband is already dead.
No! No!
Herbs can't settle down till me get my herbs to burn. We just can't settle down until me get my collie to burn. She don't call anymore, 'cause I'm still thinking about you. And if I somebody new. Turn it back as fast as you can. Yeah. Roots reggae music up in your bloodstream. Red, gold, and green. Red, gold, and green. every corner, every lane, every scheme. Red, gold, and green. Red, gold, and green. Yes, enough you know what me mean.
Welcome back to Prime Edition. Our socials at KBC Channel 1. My Twitter handle at Mboya24. The Ministry of Education has launched the new re-engineered National Education Management System. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha noted that the new upgraded system will provide more accurate data to stakeholders in the education sector. Parents will also monitor their children's learning thanks to more direct access to data through the implementation of the decentralized approach.
Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha says parents should take advantage of the improved National Education Management System to track their children's academic progress.
This NEMIS thing is going to ensure that whoever you are, if you are given money to do certain things, if teachers are going to apply for capitation as they are supposed to apply directly, they will apply for capitation for Kamau, son of Njoroge, who is alive, who is in NEMIS. Are we together? You are not going to have a situation where you can add Onyango, who is not there, or any other figures.
NEMIS is an online education management system designed for capture, store and retrieve information regarding learners and educational institutions to be used by policymakers in decision making.
Currently, as it is, are there verifiable. So we can actually say that we have data within NEMIS. So the only thing that this new NEMIS is an upgrade of that one. It has introduced security features that makes it more robust in that they cannot easily be manipulated. And also it's also responding to the Data Protection Act.
Learners registered under NEMIS are issued with a unique identification number that will track their performance from primary, secondary to tertiary level.
Under NEMIS, we say that every child counts. So we are not dealing with statistics, but we are dealing with individual children. So that if you talk about an UPI or a NEMIS code for a child, it's not just a number, it's actually pointing at an individual.
Since its inception in 2017, stakeholders say enrollment is still low in early learning institutions.
The birth certificate is still a challenge in the primary schools. But as children grow older and they're able to transit to the higher level, parents now begin understanding the need to have those birth certificates. Therefore, it's easier for secondary schools to capture their learners in NEMIS than in primary.
With the launch of the re-engineered National Education Management System, NEMIS, it's good news to parents as they can now monitor learning for their children and also initiate school transfers. For Prime Edition, I'm Zainab Said.
Residents of Kalambani area say they are living in fear after a boy was killed allegedly by camel herders from a neighboring region. Leaders from the area are calling on security agents to be vigilant and to restore security within the area. This and more stories in our county's news roundup.
Kitui South Member of Parliament-elect Rachel Nyamai and Mudha Ward Member of County Assembly-elect Dominic Mwamisi, who told the village, called on the national government to move with speed and evict illegal herders. According to the area chief Isaac Kilinga, the number of pupils going to schools has reduced due to insecurity.
Tungependa kusema ndio amani ipatikane area yetu ya Mudha Ward Kitui South constituency. Ni lazima serikali itie bidii itoe wafugaji wa ngamia katika area ya Kitui South.
And a middle-aged woman is nursing serious leg injuries after she was knocked down by a boda rider along Vihiga-Kakamega Highway near Manyata Shopping Center. According to an eyewitness, the woman was heading back home from a prayer service when the boda rider lost control and hit her. Good Samaritans who arrived at the scene of the accident rushed her to Vihiga Referral Hospital for treatment. The boda operator sustained minor injuries and is said to have fled the scene immediately after the accident. Elsewhere, hundreds of learners on Monday morning marched along the streets of Uyugis town in Homa Bay County to create awareness about teenage pregnancy. A third of the girls aged between 15 and 19 in the county are either mothers or pregnant with their first child. Gender inequality, difficulties accessing reproductive health services, basic needs and poverty have been cited as the causes. Meanwhile, a family in Gishi, Kiambu County is in distress after their firstborn daughter went missing on August 12, 2022. Lucy Wamboi Kibea, a Form 4 candidate at St. George's Mukua Secondary School, was last seen on a motorbike headed towards Idunguri, where her mother works.
Tafadhali na wasihi mtu yeyote mwenye anaweza muona mahali aweze tu kutufikia ama police station yenye iko karibu na yeye tu, tafadhali mpeleke, tuakuomba kama familia uturudishie mtoto.
Finally, the National Council of Non-Governmental Organizations has lauded Kenya Kwanza and Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalitions for choosing legal means to address their grievances following the disputed presidential election.
We are appealing to all Kenyans to be patient, to remain calm, to remain peaceful, to continue with our daily activities, livelihoods, as case against the presidential results is being filed.
For Prime Edition, I'm Samuel Karaoke.
Genova, you know what? The baby keeps kicking me these days. Sometimes I can feel his hands and his feet.
These tactics are unacceptable.
Split the troops. Half will go assist the flood victims. The other half will do as we planned before.
You allow the deaths of hundreds and thousands of avians on this land. And you worked with the Celestials to do it!
You're wrong. This is on your hands.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723 892 654 or 0734 780 124.
Well, we are glad to have you back, and we now take a look at the latest in the world of business. My name is Caroline Jenger. Now, fuel prices could increase from as early as October if a proposal by the Kenya Pipeline Company Limited to hike the pipeline tariff is adopted. The parastatal wants to increase the cost of piping fuel from the current 4 shillings to 61% per cubic meter per kilometer to 5 shillings and 22 cents per cubic meter per kilometer as from October this year. Wycliffe Okech reports.
The government has since mid last year been subsidizing fuel prices after crude oil prices drastically increased. Currently, the government is subsidizing a litre of super petrol by 54 shillings and 91 cents, diesel by 66 shillings and 17 cents, and kerosene by 74 shillings and 17 cents. The Kenya Pipeline Company Limited wants the fuel piping tariff reviewed upwards by 61 cents per cubic meter per kilometer for the next 3 years, beginning October this year, which will further increase pump prices.
Kenya Pipeline has had a 3-year tariff control, a tariff review which has been applicable for the last 3 years from 2019 to this year. We are seeking to get the views of industry stakeholders and the public as we go into the process of reviewing KPC's tariff application, which we did receive in July this year.
Proceeds from the increment, according to KPC, will finance various investments meant to improve the safety of fuel transportation and storage.
So we're really looking at how do we then balance the interests of ensuring that we have a pipeline that is technically sound, that is maintained to standard, so that then we don't have any technical challenges when it comes to operation. We also look at the investment that KPC seeks to make in the 3-year tariff control period. What are the operation and maintenance costs? And we balance those as against the interest of the consumer to ensure we have a pump price that is affordable to consumers.
In addition, the Kenya Pipeline Company has proposed the unbundling of the current pipeline tariff structure, which will see transportation and storage treated separately.
One of the notable changes is we're looking to unbundle KBC's tariff. Historically, we've had one tariff both for pipeline transportation and storage. We're looking to unbundle those so that then we have a separate tariff for pipeline transport and a separate tariff for storage. What is important is for us to be able to moderate as per our mandate to balance the interests of investors and consumers. We do know that one of the big topical issues has been petroleum pump price, and the transportation component is one of the line items in the price build-up that Kenyans do pay for at the pump.
The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority has rolled out stakeholder engagement workshops seeking your views about the proposed increase in the pipeline tariff. For Prime Edition from Kisumu County, I am Wycliffe Okage.
Thank you, Wycliffe, for that report. Now, Kenya is seeking to reduce a rice import bill by almost half in the next 1 year as operationalization of the Thiba Dam begins. According to the National Irrigation Authority, the dam that is now full will facilitate putting 35,000 acres of land under irrigation to boost rice production.
Kenya imported 631,000 metric tons of rice worth 31 billion shillings last year, representing a 4% increase from 2020. Kenya is seeking to reduce the rice import bill by almost half in the next 1 year by increasing production at the Mboya irrigation scheme. This after operationalization of the 15.6 million cubic meter Thiba Dam filled up.
Baada ya bwawa kujaa, sasa inapita kwa spillway, yanaenda kwa mto, wakulima wanatumia kiwango wanahitaji na yale maji mengine yanateremka chini kwa matumizi ya wananchi walioko kule downstream. Kwa hivyo bwawa lilianza kutumika wakati wakulima walianza kulima.
Construction of the dam that started 4 years ago is one of the food security flagship projects that is expected to help lower the food import bill that stood at 107.3 billion shillings last year. Thiba Dam is putting an additional 10,000 acres of land under rice in the expansive Mboya irrigation scheme from the current 25,000 acres. Once fully operationalized, farmers in Mboya will do a 2-crop a year from the current single crop due to inadequate water supply.
Kuna ile wakati inahitajika mingi kwa wakati wa upanzi na wakati wa flowering wa mpunga, kwa hivyo tuko na hakika hakutakuwa na upungufu wa maji kutoka leo kwenda na mbele.
Despite rice being the third consumed food in the country, Kenya still grapples with a 290,000 metric tons annual deficit that is bridged through imports from mainly Pakistan and Vietnam. Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
The government has invested 2.8 billion shillings to support small and medium enterprises. The Micro and Small Enterprises Authority say more than 1.3 billion shillings has gone into infrastructure development and equipping 150 constituency industrial development centers. Mboya Director Edward Karani says the authority is now issuing artisans with certificates of recognition to make them credible in the market.
Kenya's micro, small and medium enterprises contribute approximately 40% of Kenya's wealth annually, with majority falling in the informal sector. While there are 7.41 million MSMEs in Kenya, only 1.56 million are licensed, whereas 5.85 million are unlicensed. The Micro and Small Enterprises Authority Director Engineer Edward Karani said the government had initiated a program known as Recognition of Prior Learning to issue certificates to qualified SMEs. The certificates would show what the artisans are able to do, and that these will show the technical expertise of the certificate holder, enabling them to access business opportunities in the market.
Changamoto kubwa ni kuhusu upande wa certificate. Hii imekuwa ni changamoto kwa wafanyabiashara wa jua kali, kwa sababu wengi ambao wanapata biashara kama hizi wanaulizwa vitu kama hivi. Kwa mfano, kama kuna tenda, huwezi kupewa tenda mpaka uwe na certificate. Hili ni changamoto.
The government has initiated a program called Recognition of Prior Learning, so that they are able to show what they are able to do, and they get a certificate in line with what their abilities are, and that will help them access more opportunities where previously they were not in a position to access.
Speaking at the Malindi Integrated Development Center, Engineer Karani said MSEA has spent more than 2.8 billion shillings to support micro and small enterprises in the country in the last 5 years. The authority, through the Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Project, has also disbursed more than 1.5 billion shillings in grants to MSEs and individual traders in the last 5 years.
At the moment, we've done more than 150 constituency industrial development centers across the 47 counties. And the government has invested over 1.3 billion in the last 3 financial years to support them with regards to infrastructure. The last 5 years, we've been able to disburse over 1.5 billion across the country. And in Kilifi, the last cycle, we have been able to disburse around 26.4 million.
MSEA is also urging traders in the service sector, agribusiness and manufacturing to register themselves with the Registrar of Medium and Small Enterprises for recognition and technical support. Reporting for Prime Edition, I am Teresa Mutai.
Teresa, for that report. Now, workers at Mumia's sugar company are calling for thorough investigations into circumstances that led to the death of their colleague. The workers are also calling for implementation of safer working conditions by the management of the miller. Speaking at the factory, the employees said they want the company to install durable physical safety barriers at the hazardous areas.
A lot of wear, tear and wear. Na most of parts zilikuwa zimezeeka na zimewea kabisa. Wakati wafanyikazi walienda pale kufanya kazi, like one of them ni mtu anaitwa Dickson Inganga George, ambaye amekufa kifo ambayo haina heshima yoyote, kifo mbaya. Kwa sababu alislide kwa hiyo plate yenye alikuwa amekanyaga, ili give way na akakufa.
Hakuna safety gears, safety attires, hata hakuna kofia. Mtu anafaa Marvin anaingia process house.
Well, that is all we had lined up for you this evening. But Richard Munga is up next with the sports update. My name is Caroline Jenga. Have a good night.
Songea tukupashe na zile ambavyo vitakupa tabasamu tosha.
Hana mapenzi wala mahaba, mtoto mbaya sana huyu.
What did you just say? Si utamithilia tu.
And why you are saying that
Ni tamithilia tosha.
Alinishika hivi. What?
Sio burudani tu, ni burudani tosha.
It is the day that the Lord has made.
Na sinema bomba.
Kabisa kama uelewi kitu inafaa uelewi.
Na mada za kusisimua. KBC Channel 1, shirika la utangazaji Kenya.
Lazima itakuwa ni
Taka ujue babangu, hii dunia haifanyii kila mtu sawa.
Tuseme ni relationship yenu, yani let's say it was not that friendly.
Jackie, nimpeleke wapi? Nimpeleke wapi?
Nimepata appointment rasmi na Mr. Dingo.
Ma! She just doesn't want me to leave the house. She just wants me to stay at home.
Oh, good evening, and as always, it is an honor to have your company for KBC Sports Update with me, Richard Munga. On to a top story tonight, whereby the national netball team started their campaign. The 2023 Netball World Cup qualifiers on a sour note, losing 46-30 to Zambia in the Group B opener in Pretoria, South Africa. Well, the top two teams from the tournament, apart from South Africa, will qualify for next year's World Cup.
The Kenyan team, coached by Joseph Makau, hopes to redeem themselves in the second group game against Malawi tomorrow. In other games played, Namibia defeated Tanzania 54-40 in a Group A match, while host South Africa thrashed Botswana 60-37. 3 matches are on card today. Zimbabwe will play Botswana, while host South Africa will take on Namibia. Malawi will face Eswatini. South Africa and Uganda have already qualified for the next year's Netball World Cup in Cape Town. Uganda has chosen not to take part in the qualifiers, but South Africa will still be the highest host. The top 2 teams from the tournament, apart from South Africa, will qualify for next year's World Cup. For Prime Edition Sports, I'm Daniel Mwendwa.
Meanwhile, double Olympic marathon champion Eliud Kipchoge and the 2021 Berlin marathon champion Mboya of Ethiopia will compete against each other this year's Berlin Marathon, set to be held on the 25th of September in Germany. The 37-year-old has won all but 2 of the 18 marathons that he has contested, but Mboya nearly defeated him in 2017 in Berlin. Kipchoge set the current world record at the Berlin course, clocking a time of 2 hours, a minute and 39 seconds in 2018.
Kipchoge will race against the 2021 winner Mboya Adola of Ethiopia in Berlin, with the two having previously competed together in rainy conditions at the 2017 Berlin Marathon, with Kipchoge winning in 2 hours Olympics in August 2021 in a race that took place in Sapporo. He went ahead and competed in his first World Marathon major race in Asia at the 2022 Tokyo Marathon on 6th March, clocking the 3rd fastest marathon of his career. Eliud has topped Berlin thrice, including his 2 hour 1 minute and 39 seconds world lead in 2019.
Raises a sprint on those magical legs, and at last the world record is his. How fitting is this? The Olympic champion is the world record holder.
Quite interesting to note, of course, that the Berlin Marathon has actually seen a couple of records set, seeing as to the previous record before, of course, the 2 hours, a minute and 39 seconds by Kipchoge Keino. The previous record was way off, was a minute and 18 seconds. That record had been set by another Kenyan, that is Daniel Kipmeto. So we are wishing Kipchoge all the best this year. Now, moving on to other matters, Malindi Town is set to host the first ever national golf tournament at the Malindi Golf and Country Club this weekend. This will be the inaugural Vasco da Gama Golf Cup Union competition in Kenya that has attracted over 120 of the best golfers in the country. The main competition will host 72 players and another one that will host 48 players. The event is expected to boost sports tourism and help revive the tourism sector that has suffered major setbacks from the COVID-19 and the general election.
Of arranging for the first inaugural Malindi Open Vasco da Gama Cup, which is a Kenya Golf Union competition. We are expecting more than 120 amateur golfers, the best amateur golfers in the country, to come and participate.
Globally now, English champions Manchester City produced a brilliant fight back as they came